not in Kansas anymore.
You have my curiosity.
Are you telling me you built a time machine?
The Force will be with you. Assemble.
Hey, and welcome back to the Get Real podcast. So this is going to be part 2 of our two-piece Dark Knight Trilogy episode. So let's just jump straight back into the action with The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises.
Well, I guess, to be honest with you, The Dark Knight, everyone kind of knows this film and probably knows where everyone stands on it. It is ace.
It is the best out of the three.
Yeah.
And yes, Heath Ledger's Joker drives this film.
And sadly enough, like, the film that we're probably going to talk about the least is going to be The Dark Knight Rises, because I feel like these two films, between The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises, they're very much like the intro sequences are great villain intro sequences. I think the Batman that we have in both of those films is very much the same. I don't think there's as much of a difference between the Batman Begins version of Christian Bale that what we get in The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises, apart from his character's arc
I
and
think
progression.
he is quite different, but then, like you said, it doesn't change really between films.
Yeah.
I think almost in these films, Batman and Bruce Wayne becomes a secondary character to the villains.
Yeah, the villains are definitely front and center.
Yeah. It's like that was what interested Chris Nolan more.
Yeah.
Was,
and I think
you could say it's the dichotomy between like the order that Bruce Wayne wants to bring, because he's really good at writing Christian Bale's Batman and the villains as well. But I feel like he had more fun and more interesting things to say with the villains, although he was trying to contrast them to his, like, you see in each version, in each film, like the Joker is the perfect contrast for him in that film, and then Bane and Talia al Ghul are a great contrast for him in that film.
Yeah.
I think that's something that Chris Nolan does really well, is he has an amazing understanding of philosophy. Like, you can tell, like, each one of the Dark Knight films focuses on a different area of philosophy. Yeah, and most of his films do. Like, you think we'll have to do a Chris Nolan episode at one point, because I just want to talk about him forever. Like, he does a lot of films about the self and what it means to be the self and the lie of the self and stuff, but he uses the Batman trilogy to talk about society and society's impact on the individual as well.
Yeah.
So, and that the Joker in this, I said for a long time, I don't know if you remember me saying this, he almost didn't feel like the Joker. Obviously he is, and I understand, like, over the years I've loved the role even more. Like, he felt almost like too precise, and like he was trying to say too much. Like, he had too much of a political message.
Yeah.
But I think that's just Chris Nolan.
Yeah.
I think that's his storytelling, whereas normally the Joker is just pure anarchy, doesn't plan anything out, and he just wants to inflict chaos, whereas this, like, he wanted to make a statement, and you can tell that through his dialogue all the time.
Yeah, and I think what helps that come across is in The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises, you have one grounded villain, and that one villain is the focus. So
you're not spreading it too thin.
Yeah, which I think is what happens in Batman Begins. So yeah, in terms of the Joker in The Dark Knight, obviously phenomenal performance from Heath Ledger, may he rest in peace.
It's sad that such an amazing piece of work was ultimately the end of him. The thing that most people remember him most for, and like the best thing that he ever did, was also the worst thing for him personally.
Yeah.
And that's really sad to think of.
It is really sad. And it's even sadder to know that, the potential that he had as an actor, and he had to go on and do more of that, not do more of that as in go through what he did when he did the role, because obviously he was heavily on sleeping pills and stuff like that. But that as an actor, to then maybe see that, that character again would have been in a more of a development of that, and that relationship that they have between Batman and the Joker in this film, it would have been brilliant to see again. But I think maybe in such a tasteful way that it's nice that is all we had in this trilogy.
Yeah. I wouldn't now knowing what we know, I wouldn't have wanted to see him in the third film because the Joker had an arc in that film. He proved a point. He achieved what he wanted to achieve, and it would have been sad to see, obviously knowing what he went through, if he had have still been alive, whether he would have tortured himself as much to get a performance like that again. And I'm kind of, I wish, had he have survived, that he wouldn't have been in the third one. Chris Nolan would have had the foresight to think, right, we'll move on to the next story, instead of bringing him back, like you said.
Yeah. I like how the way this film starts off and kind of establishes him. I like how we've got the Joker gang and stuff. And I think the Heath Ledger portrayal of the Joker isn't the laughing, well, he laughs, you know what I mean, but he isn't the laughing Mark Hamill animated Joker that we get that kind of everyone kind of
Chaotic.
wants. Yeah, the Mark Hamill animated version of the Joker is like the kind of the standard for what we expect to have when we see the Joker. You know, it's what all the video game and the characters are based off, and the comics are all that version links together very closely, where what we have from Jared Leto and what we get from Joaquin Phoenix is all very different. But this is almost a nice bridge of the gap between, if this person, in terms of the Joker, this individual was to exist in real life, what would he be like? And he probably would be like that. And you notice that what I picked up second time round is the story between how he gets the scars changes a couple of times. And it's nice because it's almost like, you know, you start to think, oh, he's got a family, he's got a dad, and then it's like, no, he's not. He's just telling people like these stories because he's a psycho.
Yeah.
And I like how, you know, the fact that the character himself, you know, he's got the scars. He's got a scarred smile is awesome.
Yeah.
And
got the Chelsea smile, hasn't he?
Yeah, and how he's like the bit where he tortures that. In the Dark Knight, you have those people of Gotham that dress up like the Batman and try to do their own vigilante stuff. Yeah. The bit where he captures one of them, it's after the bit where it's that jump scare, which I love, where that he hangs one, doesn't he, and puts the Joker makeup on and he smashes it, hits against the window. Yeah. And then there's the videotape that goes out afterwards of where he's like getting the guy to look at him. Yeah. And he's like talking and he's saying, "Are you the Batman?" and stuff, but he goes like evil. He's like, "Look at me," and it's like, and then he has the bit where he turns around and then he's like, "This is what you've caused Gotham to become." And it's like he's focusing the camera on him. And then he does that like crazy laugh and then the video goes off and it's just so sinister. Yeah. But then you've just got this calculated, he's got a gang, you know, and it's so much of a perfect bridge between what the Joker should be and what he should be on film. Yeah. So like the realistic equivalent and you mean like halfway between like the cartoony crazy guy, correct, and the realistic, correct? Yeah, I reckon the Jared Leto version goes too far in the other direction. Yeah, I think that is, like you said, it's down to the performance. Like he did the research on what these things happen. Like he plays the part so well because he was understanding like what a crazy person on all these meds will be doing. Like even down to the small thing. I know everybody's talked about this a million times. It's not new information, but antidepressants and sleeping pills and stuff like that dry your mouth out. They make you dehydrated. So the whole thing of him like licking his lips and smacking his lips a lot and stuff like that. It's just tiny details that just you lose him in the role. I know like that's such a cheesy thing to say at this point. But you do like, and because it was such like a turn of like so out of type for Heath Ledger, like he had always been the guy in the rom-coms, and then he did Brokeback Mountain, which was completely different, and then he did this, and you lose him into those two roles because he is a phenomenal method actor. It's just sad that he went too method with it, clearly. But definitely. It's just, like you said, it's so grounded in reality. Like, I know people have said online, like there's the fan theory that he was ex-military and stuff like that, and maybe that's where the scars came from. But like, just I lose my words thinking about it. It is just such a perfect villain performance, and I guess that's why he won the award post his death.
But it's so good, and like that's the only thing that people want to talk about when it comes to the Dark Knight is Heath Ledger, because he is such the perfect villain in it.
Yeah, the other things in the Dark Knight that are really good is obviously when this is Nolan coming into his Nolan traits. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Like visually,
Nolan,
you've got the bit where, whether you remember, where there's the truck that is on fire that blocks the road of that convoy that Harvey Dent's in.
Yeah.
And then we've not even spoken about Harvey Dent, but and then it goes down underneath, and then you have that whole bit where he has an RPG and he shoots the
Such
prison
a fantastic,
van.
and it was done mostly practically as well. Nolan loves to do stuff in camera.
You've got the like I said, the bank sequence at the beginning that says
The hospital
the bank
blowing up.
manager is the guy from Prison Break, but he's also in a lot of other stuff.
Yeah.
And he's class.
Yeah.
And then
So
you've got the
good.
hospital scene. You've got so many iconic parts of this film which are just fantastic.
There's a reason why this is the film from the trilogy. There's a reason why this is everybody's favorite Batman film.
Yeah, and I liked rewatching this. The fall of Harvey Dent is brilliant as well.
Yeah,
that's really good.
So I love, like, that's just like a little, like, they tease you with the little like philosophical saying of you either die the hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. That is like such a smart way of changing Harvey Dent's character, because he has always been this like ex-lawyer and all that, and then something horrific happens to him and he snaps.
Yeah.
And like this shows the downfall of this guy so well. Like you said, like the gradual decline, which is created essentially by the Joker. It's so
yeah, because it's all that crazy bit where it goes a bit. He starts going up a bit off the rails when he says he's Batman and stuff, and then it's so good. It's so good, and also just the tooth when he turns into Two-Face, that looks amazing.
So like, well, we kept saying like there's only like one central villain. There is a secondary villain, but for the most of the time he is a protagonist. So in the film, he is the White Knight as opposed to Batman's the Dark Knight, and that is where like the film ends out. Is he creates the noble lie of how Harvey Dent died to save the city. So he maintains this White Knight Christ-like figure, whereas he took on all the sins of what they did, and that's why he ends up going on the run, and then the Batman disappears, because, you know, I was saying how all these films are based around philosophy and stuff like that. So most of like the trilogy is all about what was his name? Gerard's theory of mimesis. So imitation and causing rivalry and violence, and that's why the human nature and society can't avoid violence unless we have something like holier, something more truthful and honest and out there. I can't quite remember the terminology.
It's amazing,
basically
really.
The White Knight Christ-like figure.
Yeah, it's amazing, really, just from a Batman film.
Yeah,
how deep down the rabbit hole you can really go with this
well,
in terms
this
of
is
what it represents. It's crazy, isn't it?
This is all from Wisecrack. If you don't watch Wisecrack on YouTube or listen to their podcasts, they're amazing. Like, they are all ex-philosophy and film students who just devour films and philosophy and just tell it how it is. Like, it'll boggle your mind to begin with, but if you watch the video twice, it boggles your mind. Like, I've had to watch this video so many times just so I can try and regurgitate it to you. But like, that theory of mimesis is like, it's explained so simply by Commissioner Gordon in about a minute. Like, so it's basically like, you see somebody with something, so you want that thing, but then it gets to a point where it's like, you don't just want the same thing, you want their thing. So that's where crime comes into it. Like, and Commissioner Gordon says, if we start carrying semi-automatics, they'll start carrying fully automatics. If we start wearing Kevlar, they'll start buying armor-piercing rounds. Yeah. It's like, it's the escalation. It's like, they'll copy you, but try and one-up you all the time. And that's what causes conflict. So he was basically saying that with this agent of chaos as well, and like, he came to imitate the Batman, but like the dark reflection of it almost. Yeah. Which is pretty insane. Like like you said, it's a Batman film. It's a Batman film.
I don't see anyone going this deep down the rabbit hole with Dawn of Justice.
Well, people have tried.
People try.
People have tried. Wisecrack tried, but they were basically like, yeah, Nolan films are better.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, it's absolutely insane. Go watch. They did a 3-part. They did a trilogy on Chris Nolan. Go watch that. It'll blow your mind. But also, they refer to how many literary references he uses. Like, Tale of Two Cities is the exact basis for Dark Knight Rises, which we'll get onto in a bit.
So we spoke about a lot of the visuals of this film. And what would you say your favourite shot or scene was in this film? There's a lot to choose from.
Oh, there is so much to choose from.
And I forgot how much actually happens in this film. Like, once I got to the point where Harvey Dent turns to Two-Face, I forgot there was the whole bit on the boats at the end. And
You've got the entire third act after that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I remember, so I've got really fond memories of seeing this film for the first time. Like, I didn't get to see it in the cinema. So I remember, you got to see it in the cinema, didn't you? But I remember the day it came out on Blu-ray and DVD, we were all in town together with our mates, like in the local shopping centre, and I went into HMB and I bought it. We went back to our mate Joe's house and we all sat on his bed and watched it. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And like, that was such a sick night. And like, I love this film. Like, I didn't get to see it in the cinema, but I got to see it there with all you guys. And that was cool.
So you love it. So what's your favourite shot?
Favourite single shot?
Or scene. Favourite single scene?
The interrogation scene is great, because it reminded me of scenes like in The Killing Joke and stuff like that. At the beginning of the Killing Joke, where he's interviewing him in Arkham Asylum before they escape and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, that's such... And they just lay their philosophies out on the table.
It's very interesting you bring up Killing Joke, because there is a lot of parallels of this film to that. There's the Batman-Joker relationship towards the end where he's hanging upside down.
Yeah.
A really interesting way about how that shot is, rather than showing the Joker upside down, it shows in the right way up.
Yeah.
Which I found really weird. But yeah, you have almost got that Killing Joke relationship where it's like the Joker's saying to Batman, you can't kill me, you need me, and stuff like that. It's like so,
because he is like the dark reflection of him, essentially. Yeah. What has come from the Batman? Like, the Batman was meant to be a symbol of like justice and like this holy Christ-like figure, but he's caused so much darkness, which is why he has to disappear at the end. Do you want to know why he's shot facing upwards instead of hanging downwards? Probably.
You'll know
this
the
is just
answer to
me
this.
thinking this. Like, whenever you see something upside down that should be the right way, like, it's out of the ordinary. Like, it calls attention to like the discord, doesn't it? Like,
yeah,
how much, like in Independence Day when they hang the American flag upside down, to show that like the country or the world's on its head, essentially. Like, things have been flipped and nothing's right. So the fact that they shot him facing up is like because he's got a point with what he's saying. Yeah. So the fact that they're showing him facing up means that they're putting him on a equal like standing almost with Batman, instead of him being upside down and completely twisted. They want you to think this guy could actually have a point.
Yeah,
is what I'm thinking when I see it.
It's a good way of looking at it. Yeah.
Let me know in the comments if you think I'm right or just chatting out my ass.
So the last bit I want to leave on with this film, because we have obviously got the Dark Knight Rises to talk about as well. We're trying to shove 2 films in this part of the
2 nearly 3-hour films.
Series. Yeah. The one little thing that bugs me in this film, which the film is very, very much faultless. It's a very little thing.
Okay.
So when the Joker goes to Harvey Dent in the hospital, how the hell does Harvey Dent only recognise who he is when he takes that like little nurse mask thing off?
Yeah, nothing to do with the wacky makeup or the fact that it's a dude in a dress.
Yeah, and he like reacts like whoa, like it starts like
maybe
shaking.
It's to do with how dosed up he is.
Yeah, probably. It's also probably
also
just
the
for cinema,
CG on the weird side of his face is so good when he's all burnt up.
Yeah, it's really good because I think when you watch this, you always look at that side.
Yeah.
If you watch it but focus on his non-burnt side. it's almost like you get a lot more emotion out of the character, because obviously you can emote more.
Yeah.
But on the other side, you just see someone who is just angry because of obviously his face is burnt away. I would be pretty angry if half of my face burnt away as well.
It's so cool. Also, the whole bit about like at the end, like I said, like turning Harvey Dent's face over, and that speech at the end where they just make him into the scapegoat. That's another thing they talk about, is like the society will create a scapegoat to blame them for all their issues.
Yeah, and it's very interesting because that's where The Dark Knight Rises starts.
Yeah,
you start with the funeral of Harvey Dent, don't you? It's very, very
and the noble lie, essentially.
Exactly. So to tie the conversation of these films together, a thing that happens with both of these films that I kind of noticed when I rewatched The Dark Knight Rises is it's shot in 2 or 3 different aspect ratios, both of these films.
Okay.
So obviously you've got your 16, I think it's 16 by 9 is widescreen, right? When you've got your top and bottom.
Your bars.
Your black bars. It then changes, and that then, Dunkirk.
Yeah.
Christopher Nolan does it in Dunkirk as well, where he changes the aspect ratio. That actually happens in both of these films as well.
Okay.
So
but I've never noticed it.
Yeah, well,
it's
don't,
weird how
because
you don't.
It's more about when there's a lot going on in the scene, which is what I noticed towards the end of The Dark Knight Rises. So, as an example, you've got the bit where the police stand up and obviously go to the city hall or whatever to take on
battle
Bane.
At the end.
Yeah, exactly. The big battle at the end. All the battle sequences are a larger aspect ratio, where there's a smaller black bars at the top and bottom.
Gives it more verticality.
Yeah, so you see more in the shot, right? And then when you have the bit where it's Batman and Bane and they're having that big reveal where Bane isn't the kid who crawls out of the prison, it's Talia. That then gives you that 16 by 9 aspect ratio because it's closing in.
Yeah, it gives you the focus on the characters and the emotions.
I think the technicality of this is when you choose to shoot with anamorphic lenses, and then if you ever look at how an anamorphic lens is shot, I think it's shot very much stretched out.
Yeah.
And then you have to then bring it down and you stretch it back down, and then that's where you get your black bars naturally.
Yeah, that's where widescreen came from.
But also I think it is a good tool to use for those kinds of sequences as well. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we'll get onto The Dark Knight Rises. I think the first thing with this film is the cast.
Well, we haven't mentioned him, even though he's been in all these films. We mentioned him quickly. Gary Oldman as Commissioner Gordon.
Very good Commissioner Gordon.
Gary Oldman is one of my favourite actors of all time. He's, like we said in, I think, part 1, or maybe it was in this part, it was like, he's a chameleon. You lose him in every role. Like you see him in Sid and Nancy, then you see him in Dracula, then you see him playing Churchill.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you do lose him in Churchill.
Fifth Element. He changes completely with every role.
It's interesting how much Commissioner Gordon is used in these films. Like, he's almost on par with the amount of screen time as what we get from Bruce Wayne, Batman. Yeah. It's very different to what we get in, say... Well, I mean, we only got Commissioner Gordon in Justice League in the new films, didn't we? We didn't get him in...
Yeah, we had him in for one scene.
Yeah, that's it.
On the rooftop.
And it's interesting how much they use him as a tool, because he is an interesting character.
Yeah.
I mean, you just got to watch, Gotham to an extent to see how much you can do with Commissioner Gordon.
Well, I think Commissioner Gordon is really important, especially in The Dark Knight Rises, because he is the one delivering sort of like the messages. Like I said, like he's the one that tells Bruce Wayne that Batman needs to return, that his sacrifice no longer counts now that people are fighting again, now that Bane's here. Mm-hmm. And you have, like I said, he even reads a passage from A Tale of Two Cities at Bruce Wayne's funeral at the end. Mm-hmm. And he's the one at the beginning who has to uphold the lie of Harvey Dent.
Yeah.
To keep the Dent Act going.
So in terms of this film... I'll go through the cast in a second, but like what we had in The Dark Knight, we get a really strong villain intro as well. Where it's both of these films have a fake out of who the actual main villain is. Like there's a reveal.
Yeah.
Like in The Dark Knight, he is just one of the guys who's pretending to be a thug. And in The Dark Knight Rises, he's pretending to be one of the prisoners.
Yeah.
Like he's got the hood over it, and then the guy who plays Littlefinger in Game of Thrones pulls the hood off, and then it's Bane underneath, and he's like, "It's me."
Oh, right, but okay. So we'll talk about Tom Hardy.
Yeah, we'll talk Tom Hardy
in the cast list.
Yeah.
The first time we saw this in the cinema, I could hardly understand what he was saying. It's a lot clearer on the DVD version. I don't know if that's just because I was front row at the...
I'll tell you why it's clearer on the DVD version.
Because they changed it?
Because the ADR is absolutely mental when you watch this back.
Yeah.
It is so detached from everything else that Bane says, especially at the beginning on that plane.
Yeah.
It's like... Let me give you an example.
It sounds like it's coming from somewhere else, doesn't it?
Let me give you an example. So, this is me being a character that talks normally.
Yep.
And this is Bane. It's literally so loud. I hope that effect comes across on the mic. Oh my god, it's so loud.
Only when Gotham is in ashes do you have my permission to die.
But then turn that up by about 5 dB and oh my lord.
Yeah, when I first saw it in the cinema, it was so booming and like low endy that I just couldn't understand. Like the bit in the stadium, because he's got like that tiny little headset mic, which like is meant to be crappy anyway. He's holding that up to his mask. He's like, and that's like when he's giving his like mastermind speech, and you're like,
yeah,
like,
it's much clearer when you watch it back on Blu-ray than what it was when we first watched it.
Yeah,
I agree.
I do think they remixed it.
So we'll stay on Tom Hardy. So this is hardly Tom Hardy in this. You get a lot of.
It's premium Tom Hardy. What are you talking about?
Well, it's premium Tom Hardy, of course. I mean, it's Tom Hardy.
He's doing the same acting that he does in Dunkirk. It's just all with the eyes.
Yeah, well, there you go.
No face, just eyes.
There is face expressions that you see that are the same. You can tell he's there, but obviously we're covering that much of his face, and he's bald. You can't really see.
Yeah,
but
it was a transformation.
He's very much character acting.
Ripped.
Yeah, absolutely. Built like
it was mostly like physical acting, wasn't it? Like holding onto the vest.
He is built like a brick shithouse in this film, isn't he? And to talk about that,
he looks like a brick wall.
Yeah.
Is like the only way to describe it.
A lot of shots when you get Bane in this film, you notice a lot of the characters are either like leaning down or kneeling or on the floor, or Bane is always he's always from a height looking down at people to give you a bit of an idea of his size. And I think that's obviously to make up the fact that it isn't the Bane that we get in the comics. We don't have is it Venom? The Venom serum or whatever that he takes. You don't have anything like that. The mask is there to keep the pain or whatever it was where he got beaten up by those people in the prison. Which I assume is to keep all his teeth in or something. I mean,
it's administering like antiseptics and anesthetics and stuff.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
So it's a bit like the Venom serum, Venom that he takes.
Well, the Venom is to like jack him up in the comic books.
Yeah. There's a little bit of you wish that
the
Bane that we got was kind of like the more comic Bane, or do you reckon it would be a little bit weird?
It wouldn't have worked, I don't think. Because, like we said, the Nolan verse was a lot more grounded.
Yeah, I agree.
The Scarecrow you could kind of make sense on. Like, he wasn't that scary until you had this toxin, and like there is stuff like that can make you hallucinate in the world. So that kind of is still grounded in reality. Whereas if you all of a sudden got like this guy who was like pretty buff, and then he injected himself with something, and he was like 5 foot taller and fucking roiding out, like it wouldn't have worked.
No, we would have needed some crazy CGI for that.
And you didn't need him because he was so jacked. Also, if you want to talk about the way he's shot as well, from my memory, it seems like a lot of the time, because typically you shoot people at their eye line, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure most of the time with Bane, he's sort of like shot at chest level.
Yeah,
so that you as the viewer feel smaller compared to him as well.
Yeah, there's never really a shot where you look at him like top down, apart from like it's he hears like the Batwing or whatever. And stuff like that. But he is menacing in this film.
Yeah.
He is like a force. Well, the unstoppable force. You know what I mean? The immovable objects
versus the unstoppable force.
That's a Joker reference from The Dark Knight.
It is.
But he is very much like a tank, isn't he? He's huge. And you get that power from him, especially in that Batman-Bane fight that you get at the end. He's like proper losing his shit and like smashing into that pillar, and it's cool.
He's the man that broke the Bat's back, essentially.
Yeah, and that scene is awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't get the Azrael for people who... we didn't get Nightfall from those who know the comics.
Yeah.
But...
I didn't need it.
Didn't need it.
No. It wouldn't have worked. It wouldn't, like...
We didn't need Joseph Gordon-Levitt becoming, like... You whispering his secret code word that makes him turn crazy, and then he becomes, Batman armoured. And
I wasn't a big fan of him... Okay, so let's go on to Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Like, great actor.
Yeah, sorry, Robin.
Yeah, well, that's... Yeah. I wasn't a big fan of that reveal at the end.
It was so just off the cuff, wasn't it?
It felt a bit forced. Now, going back to it, I kind of understand it because it's... So, this film, a lot of people didn't like it as much as The Dark Knight, which I think that was due to Heath Ledger's performance.
Yeah.
But I think in this one, the biggest issue is that for Batman and Bruce Wayne and stuff, it ends the same way that The Dark Knight did, like with him having to make the sacrifice and disappear into nothing to be this holy symbol to make people stop fighting. Like the events just sort of retrack what happened in The Dark Knight. Like it doesn't really say that much new stuff. Like it just tries to do the same thing that The Dark Knight did, only now it's about class systems and economical warfare and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, so the fact that it's then left to Robin at the end is to sort of simulate that it's all going to be constantly ongoing. So I think it is better than people kind of gave it credit for to begin with. Like, I don't know if Christopher Nolan and Jonathan Nolan, his brother who wrote it, were doing that intentionally, but it makes it all secular. Like, it's a film about revolution, but then it also uses the other meaning of revolution as in constantly turning and repeating itself.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like he's passed on all the technology to be the next superhero. Probably not Batman, because Batman's dead. Like, he could have gone on to become Robin as we know
it.
It
leaves him going up into the Batcave and stuff. And
which sits a lot better with me now after the fact. At the time, I was like, I was also like, how old were we when this came out? Like 17, 18.
Yeah.
And I was like, none of the Robins in the comic books were actually called Robin. Like, it's so cheesy.
It's like Bruce Wayne being called Bruce Batman Wayne.
yeah, literally. Like, because, like, Dick Grayson is my favourite DC character as well, I think.
Yeah.
I think at the time I was just being a butthurt teenager, but now it sits a lot better with
There's
me.
no Robin called Blake.
Yeah.
In the comics, what is this?
I was like, Blake, it's like kind of like Tim Drake, but it's Blake, not Drake.
Yeah, maybe that's what they were going for. But yeah, then you had Anne Hathaway as Catwoman.
Yeah.
Very much a Catwoman character. There wasn't really much fault with that.
She was quite an interesting take on it. Like,
she got the bat cycle at the end.
Yeah. Batsicle.
Yeah. She's good.
Yeah,
she's good in this film. Yeah.
Okay, so carry on with the cast.
And
Who else have we got?
Well, I've noted down a lot of minor characters now.
Okay, go on.
We had obviously the guy who plays Littlefinger at the beginning.
Yep.
We also had that guy from Pacific Rim. Not
that guy from what role did he play?
He played a scientist, but it wasn't the guy who you know. It was the other guy.
Yeah. It wasn't Charlie Day. It was the
other guy.
Yeah, the other guy.
Not Charlie
Pacific
Day.
Rim.
Yeah,
he was in Torchwood back in the day, the Doctor Who spin-off.
Yeah, he was playing one of the Wayne execs.
Yes,
and so, he walks out into ice after being.
Can't remember his name. Have you got his name there?
No.
Oh.
After being sentenced by Scarecrow, Cillian Murphy. Cillian Murphy. Sorry. And he falls into
I'm going to find out his name now.
He falls into the water from the ice. Well, it's too late, Chris. We're moving on. We've got Ben Mendelsohn is in this.
Mendo.
Yeah, for a very short amount of time. I was very surprised to see him in this film because I forgot he was in it.
Mr. Mendo.
Yeah, I like everything he's in, to
is
be
it-
fair.
Is it Kai Owen?
And then
Yeah,
Kai Owen. Is that
doesn't look
right?
like him.
Kai Owen? No.
Um,
Tell you what, tell us in the comments.
Let us know, because IMDb is very slow.
Yeah, so obviously a lot of the minor characters in here that get killed off. But yeah, I don't know. Going back to Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I liked him as a police officer. I liked him as Blake, as maybe a
Burn Gorman.
Burn Gorman. Not who was the other guy other person that you said then?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. But yeah, I liked him as Blake. He didn't need to be Robin. Obviously, it sits better now than what it did.
Yeah.
But nah.
It's a nice passing of the torch, almost the same way that Dick Grayson often takes up the mantle of Batman when Batman isn't around.
Yeah.
Which, recommendation, if you've not read Batman Black Mirror, that was one of Dick Grayson's first cases as Batman. Really great story.
Yeah. What did you think of the whole like Bruce Wayne being like this old fragile guy at the beginning of the Dark Knight Rises? It's very much like he's taken some time off kind of thing, and then he has to get that magical knee brace that never comes back.
Yeah, and also apparently some guy kicking him in the back fixes his broken back.
Well, yeah, what happens is
it's a cycle of pain, Sam. It's a cycle. It's a revolution of pain.
Yeah, he gets like hoisted up, and then that guy just punches him in the back and says, "This needs putting back into place," and punches him.
It's like realigning his
and then
spine.
just leaves him for like a few weeks or whatever, and then he's just back, climbs out. I like that whole bit.
Okay, so are we done talking about the cast now?
I'm done talking about it, yeah.
Right. Okay. So, I mentioned The Tale of Two Cities.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, so the Charles Dickens book, The Tale of Two Cities, it's about this guy who is accused of something, I'm not quite sure what, but he's from Paris, and there's a guy who looks identical to him in London, and then it's during the French Revolution, he's accused of something. The guy in London is very much like high and mighty aristocrat who doesn't really have any purpose in life type thing, and he finally finds his purpose in saving the Frenchman and taking his place and getting executed. But the whole book is about people's rebirth and stuff like that, or I can't remember the actual way that Charles Dickens writes it. It doesn't say rebirth, but it's similar to how in this film Batman has to come back and rebirth, and there are people rediscovering themselves, or like it's about Gotham reforming. It's about there's imagery of a phoenix rising from the ashes, which is what the whole bat symbol on the side of the building is for, and that's where you get there's the chapter which is about the final character's like rebirth in standing up and taking this Frenchman's place and getting executed. Is called Fire Rising. Which at the beginning as well, the member of Bane's group that has to go down with the plane so that there's a body left behind.
Yes.
He says, have we started the fire? And he's like, the fire's rising.
Oh.
Yeah. And then the third act of the book, so the book's split into like 3 books, I think, is the way it's done. It's called like Storm is Coming or something.
Yeah.
And what does Catwoman say to Bruce Wayne at the beginning? There's a storm coming, and I hope you and your rich friends batten down the hatches for it.
Oh, here's all the tie-ins.
Like, it's like this film is just, it's a tale of two cities mixed with philosophy with a Batman skin on it. And like I said, like Commissioner Gordon reads from A Tale of Two Cities. The bit that he reads, I think, is the character's final speech before he is beheaded from A Tale of Two Cities. Like taking, sacrificing himself to save the greater good, because at that point Commissioner Gordon thinks that Bruce Wayne is also dead, even though we find out that he's not. He's alive in Venice, is it? Or Florence? In Italy.
I think it's just a parallel to what the story that Alfred was telling him.
Yeah.
It's very similar, isn't it? And he's there with Anne Hathaway.
Yeah.
In the cafe or whatever. And it's like, I'm not really dead.
That speech is
Autopilot
amazing. From
wasn't
we didn't
able
talk
to-
about Michael Caine.
Michael. Hang on.
Sam's the impressions man. Clearly. No, that's Michael Bane.
I like it. Michael Bane.
You're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off, right? I've shut your what is it? I've shut your bones, Master Wayne. I've injured your no, what is it? I've sewn your stitches.
Tended to your broken body.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. And
I've buried your parents, Master Wayne, but I will not bury you.
What does he do? Buries him, but doesn't bury him.
Yeah,
Buries nothing.
Yeah.
But he's not dead. He's alive. Michael Caine's good in this.
1 week a year, Master Wayne, I go on a holiday and I go to Italy, right? And you know what I do? I sit in a cafe by myself and I order the same thing every time. And I wish that one day I would look up and I would just see you with a nice young lady enjoying your life. You need to put the Batman behind you, Master Wayne.
The best thing about that whole impression is I don't think the noise gate is going to pick you up. It's going to keep cutting in and out. But don't worry.
That's what it's going to sound like.
I will fix it. It's fine. I will not
Master
let
Wayne.
that sterling
Master Wayne.
impression go to waste.
You're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off.
Yeah, he's good. He's an Alfred, isn't he?
Oh, yeah. I think he's probably the best Alfred that we've got on screen so far.
I think we're going to be extremely surprised by Andy Serkis as
Oh,
Alfred.
yeah. He's going to be really cool.
We're going to be very
think
surprised.
he's going to be more sort of like, you know, like the one that we got in Gotham or like Batman Earth 1.
Yeah.
So he's like, because in all the versions he's like ex-military, but this version he's going to be like a bit younger, proper like ex-military, take no shit. He's going to knock 7 bells out of Bruce Wayne in training type thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Like when his parents die, he's going to pull him up by his bootstraps type thing, not let him like sulk in it.
Where the Alfred in this is kind of tending to him a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
He's more of an emotional guidance in this.
Yeah, for sure. What else can we talk about with this film? There's obviously a lot that happens visually. There's a lot.
What do you think about the plot twist that Talia Al-Ghul was behind it all along?
I'll tell you what she does. What I do think about this. I think she has the worst death I've seen in a movie for a while.
Yeah, it's kind of.
She flinches. She's like, "Ugh, I'm dead." It's like, yeah. It's like what?
Great actress again though.
Yeah, no, she's brilliant.
Marion,
she just can't die.
Cotillard.
She just can't do a good death. That's the problem.
I've forgotten how to pronounce her name.
When she is in a seat of a truck when she dies, but it is awful. It is awful. The other thing, while we're on the topic of that, when that whole chase is happening in the streets, why the hell does that Batwing shoot at the truck with the nuclear reactor in it?
Isn't that the question?
When these are the sort of things that I think when I'm watching this film, and I'm like, why the hell is he shooting at
You just
it?
killed everybody. In real life, that would have detonated.
That's like a Batfleck thing to do. Don't do that.
Marion Cotillard, I think is how you pronounce it.
Lovely.
She's fantastic.
Yeah, she's very
Again,
good.
she's now a Christopher Nolan alum, being in Inception and everything.
Yeah, well, Tom Hardy as well, to be fair.
Exactly.
I'd say Dunkirk, Inception. He was in Inception, Tom Hardy, right? Yeah, he was. Yeah.
So was Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Michael Caine.
Yep. There you are. He likes his cast. Likes his cast.
Could you imagine if Leonardo DiCaprio showed up in the Batman trilogy?
Holy moly.
Who would he play?
Oh, yeah. What villain would you give Leonardo DiCaprio?
Oh, you think he would be the villain?
I think he'd be a villain.
I
think he'd do a good Riddler. Maybe.
I think I've seen people say that. Who would I have him from the Batman Rogues Gallery?
The voice of Killer Croc. The voice of King Shark.
Deadshot.
No, he'd be a weak Deadshot.
It'd be a weak Deadshot.
He'd be a totally weak Deadshot.
I can't think now.
I think that's why
Riddler's probably a decent shout.
Yeah, I think that's why I'd give him the Riddler.
My mind's drawing a blank now.
No, I don't think
he would have made a pretty cool Two-Face.
Oh no, I'll tell you who he'd make a very good. Maybe like a Captain Cold or something.
Okay.
Maybe he'd be a very interesting
Mr. Freeze,
Captain Cold. No, not Mr. Freeze. Like Flash Captain
Cold.
Yeah, no, not Mr. Freeze. Like a Flash.
Although
Captain.
Mr. Freeze, he could be like a proper, like, you know, like from the animated series, like a proper tortured Mr. Freeze, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. That'd be very cool.
Change up the style of him. Don't have him looking like Arnie with a big helmet and everything.
Yeah. Interesting. I'm kind of done with this as a series. So, like, what?
I'm kind of done with it.
I'm kind of done. Who
The
has
music,
been?
fantastic as well. Just
Yeah,
one last
good
bit.
music.
Yeah.
All the time.
I'll do the Michael Caine, you do the music.
all the way through it. Yeah, I don't know who has been right. We're coming to the end of 2 episodes where we talk solidly about Batman, right?
Batman.
And probably the next time we're going to talk about Batman is going to be when we get
Robert Batman.
Yeah, when we get Robert Batman in the Batman.
Also, we missed it in the news. The motorbike costume reveal. There was a woman on the other bike, so
no, we
probably
talked about this.
Catwoman.
We talked about this.
Did we talk about the?
Yeah, we talked about it. Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
No, we
I
said
thought we forgot that.
Probably the stunt standing for Catwoman because it wasn't actually Robert Pattinson that we saw.
No,
when we
also,
were talking,
they had motion trackers on his face to
replace
the face.
When we were talking about saying it doesn't really look like him, or it looks like he's really beefed up. It's not him.
It's definitely
it's his stunt double.
Yeah.
He's probably in Pinewood shooting some more juicy scenes maybe for it. But yeah, so. I
think you were going to ask me who my favourite live-action
so-
Batman was.
so, yeah,
I think that's where he's leading.
So let's just talk the more recent ones. So you've got we'll do Michael Keaton. Say nothing before Michael Keaton.
Okay. So not Adam West.
So not Adam West, because I think maybe he's a very, very different Batman.
Yeah.
So he probably doesn't fall. And by the way, when I said that Christian Bale was our first dark depiction of Batman, no, Michael Keaton was pretty dark, to be fair. But he definitely couldn't move his neck with the cowl.
Yeah, I think the world was darker in that one. Like,
yeah. So you've got a choice between Michael Keaton, you've got Christian Bale, you've got Ben Affleck, and then
Val Kilmer, George Clooney,
and then you've got what we have so far of Robert Pattinson.
Are you asking me who my favourite is?
Yeah.
Or
who do you think is going to do the best job?
Okay, my least favourite is George Clooney.
Yeah.
The nipples didn't help.
No, definitely not.
The nipples aren't the reason, but the nipples didn't help.
They don't help.
Probably Val Kilmer or... See, I think everything around Christian Bale's Batman was better than his Batman.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Batman and the costume was maybe a little bit weak. And I think it's the villains that make that good and story.
And the writing of it.
Yeah, the visual of it.
Probably Michael Keaton would possibly have to top it then, just by talking about this. I did like Ben Affleck's. I feel like there was so much unfulfilled potential there.
Yeah, I think he was overshadowed
He was
a lot
very much like the Batman that I like in the comic books at the moment.
Yeah. He needed to have his own film first, really. Yeah. They needed to do the Batman with him in it first before they did Dawn of Justice.
Yeah.
But
it was always subsidiary to everything else.
I think we'll never know whether he was going to be a brilliant Batman. I think he's good in what he is.
Yeah.
But I don't think we're ever going to know whether he would be a brilliant standalone Batman. Sadly, but
I kind of don't want to even put him in the list because I feel like we'll be doing a disservice to him if we rank him low just based off his films.
Yeah,
like because I feel like he got shafted by Warner Brothers.
So
I'd probably say Michael Keaton favorite, Ben Affleck, Val Kilmer, George Clooney,
Christian Bale.
I said Batfleck, didn't I? I meant Christian Bale.
Yeah, okay.
So Val Kilmer, Christian Bale.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm saying Val Kilmer. Oh, I'm getting myself. Okay, Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
Christian Bale.
Yeah.
Val Kilmer.
Yeah.
George Clooney.
Okay.
That's all of them.
Okay. You're not putting any judges on Robert Pattinson yet?
Not yet. I'm interested because I really like Robert Pattinson's career at the moment. I'm just calling him Pattinson now by accident.
You can't use his real name anymore.
I think maybe leading up to the Batman coming out, maybe we do a look at loads of Robert Pattinson films. Have you seen Good Time?
Nope, I've not seen Lighthouse.
That's good. I have not seen Lighthouse yet. I want to watch that very soon.
I think his Batman is going to be very surprising.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a prediction.
Okay.
My prediction.
Hot take.
My prediction is Robert Pattinson's Batman is going to be the best depiction of Batman we're going to get on screen.
Okay.
And everyone is going to be extremely surprised. He's not going to be over the top. He's not going to kill anybody. He's not going to have the tropes that people didn't like about Batfleck.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe the villains aren't going to be the best villains that we're going to get, but I think him as Batman, I think is going to be one of the best. Not as Bruce Wayne. not as Bruce Wayne. I think him as Batman.
See, I think he can do probably both of them pretty well.
Yeah. That's my prediction, though. I reckon he's...
I think that's something that Christian Bale did really excel at, was his Bruce Wayne was really good.
So when the film comes out next year, we can sit back and reflect on this episode.
Yep.
If this podcast
Was
is
Sam's hot take
still
hot enough?
If we're still going.
We've still got that 90-day subscription.
52 episodes later. What episode will that put us on? This is episode 12, so we will be on episode 65, should technically be, well, depending on when it comes out, but at least episode 65. Yeah. We will reflect on this moment right now and see whether Sam was right about whether the Batman was the new, like a bit like the Joker, about what Joaquin Phoenix has done with the Joker.
Yeah.
I reckon we're going to get a similar thing with the Batman. I think that's just what works. I think they know what people want from these films now. I think Matt Reeves is the director to do it.
Yeah, definitely. Like, he is just going from strength to strength at the moment. I really like the Planet of the Apes ones. Carrying on from what you said, I don't think the villains will be weak, but I think the Batman's going to carry it rather than the villains carrying it. I think he's going to raise the level of all these actors. Yeah, like, because the cast that they've got's fantastic.
Yeah, I think maybe the Riddler will be the standout performance, I reckon. Okay. Just because we've not had him for a while.
I think
Colin Farrell's Penguin's going to be good, don't get me wrong.
That's what I was thinking, because Colin Farrell can sometimes just pull something out of the bag and you're not surprised.
I think
you're not expecting.
They're definitely going to be overshadowed by Robert, though, to be honest. So I think that's all we've got time for on this extra episode. This is in between episodes, right? So this is coming out on Wednesday.
Yes.
So next week, let's decide now, Chris. What should we do an episode on?
Ooh.
I've got an idea.
Live on podcast. Go on, then.
I just asked you that for me to tell you my idea.
Okay,
but I
and I'll tell you whether I think it's Doggy Do or Let's Do.
Why don't we do? We've not seen Sonic yet. I don't really want to dedicate a whole episode to Sonic.
Video game movies?
Video game movies.
Yeah, okay.
Should we do video game movies?
Have you seen Detective Pikachu?
No.
That can be your homework.
Okay.
I really liked it.
Have you seen Sonic?
I've not seen Sonic yet.
No, 2 days later, that's your homework.
Okay. I'm hoping to see that. Have you seen Tomb Raider?
No, that's my homework.
Have you seen the Angelina Jolie Tomb Raider films? Back in the day, you probably did.
Too long ago. My homework. There's a lot of homework for this episode. We've got to watch a lot of films.
What other video game movies are there? Let us know in the comments down below. Hopefully soon, so that we can watch them in time and record the podcast.
You can also let us know by following us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
Yeah, that'll be the easiest way.
Yeah, at GetRealPod.
Also, we should probably put it out on the socials. We'll put a tweet out. We'll put a Instagram message question thing.
Yeah.
Let people answer it for us. What video game movies to cover?
Yeah, for sure.
That's a good idea, Sam.
Very good idea.
It was not Doggy Do. It was Let's Do.
Let's Do.
That's our new rating system.
Not Doggy Do. It's Let's Do. I like it. Don't forget it. Don't forget it. Give
that's our first segment name.
That's how we're scoring these video game movies next week. Doggy Do or Let's Do. Okay. Right.
Let's go or let's a no.
On top
of Mario. Super Mario Brothers.
Okay, right, we need to start. We need to save it for next week. So, yeah, obviously, in addition to socials, you can email us at getrealpoduk@gmail.com. And what should
REEL.
REEL. And what should people do, Chris?
They should rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. They should follow us on Spotify.
Yes.
Just don't forget to share us with your friends. We are available on Stitcher, iHeartRadio, all the major podcast networks. And thank you so much for listening to this epic 2-parter.
And we will see you next time.
On Monday. Goodbye.